What's up, guys? In today's video, we are going to talk about how this likely has completely crashed my testosterone levels, turning me into more or less a woman. What if the answer to all of my problems is the Sazul?
According to YouTube guidelines shown here, videos which intend to educate are documentary by nature and do not glorify the use of drugs. Both abide by community safety guidelines and are eligible for monetization. The following video does not glorify the use of drugs. Instead, attempts to be non-biased while delivering other life-saving information disguised as entertainment. We do not display graphic use. There are no scenes showcasing drug consumption, and any insinuation of use should be taken as satirical at best.
What's up, guys? Derek, moreplace.com. Today we are going to be talking about PsychedSubstance and basically how he is indeed going on HRT, testosterone replacement therapy to be specific. And if you've guys seen the podcast we did relatively recently, the full thing will actually be going up. You know, I know I clip the shit out of those things, but it is, you know, essentially how I get to take a break from YouTube is the podcast. I can then rip into little clips that are, you know, not only will disproportionately perform in terms of, you know, what bite-sized clips people want to click versus not versus watching a 5-hour podcast, but in addition, posting 2 videos a day is very fucking hard. So a lot of the time when I post that stuff, it's not just me trying to like squeeze out, like I am trying to squeeze out views, but in addition to that, I'm trying to actually take a fucking break. So, you know, obviously you guys get it when I do that. I think most of you guys get that by now, but we're gonna do another podcast and we're gonna be digging into his TRT specifically, because when I first went over there, you know, the major topic we were discussing was psychedelic use, Connor Murphy as well, you know, some of the stuff surrounding his debacle, and talking about entrepreneurs, you know, are psychedelics useful? Should I be using them? What should I be considering? And by the end of the conversation, you know, he had basically become interested in testosterone replacement therapy potentially. And interestingly enough, you know, I recommended he get blood work, and he ended up getting that blood work, and it came back as pretty fucking low. The guy was borderline hypogonadal with a, I believe it was like a 250 or something. I'll confirm with him when we meet up. He's had some pretty obvious low T sides, and a lot of it is exacerbated too, to some extent, by his kratom use and some of the recreational compounds he uses to enhance productivity and whatnot, which may be compounding the issue and or be one of the main roots of the issue too. Now, one thing that I didn't want to save actually for the podcast, like we're gonna go into the full panel on the podcast and discuss, you know, in elaborate detail all of his biomarkers, but notable right now that's very important is his hematology parameters. So in here he mentions his hemoglobin and hematocrit, which are low.
Other interesting blood work to note would be my hemoglobin, which is actually flagged. My hemoglobin is 134 G/L. Not sure what that means. Grams per liter? I don't know. Reference range is 135 to 170. So I'm like 134, just below. And then my hematocrit, I don't know if I'm saying that right, is 0.39. Again, one below. The reference range starts at 0.40 to 0.50. So I'm just below that, which according to Derek, I'm not sure why, he said this is also relative of low T. Oh shit. Yeah, actually, if you look at like my red blood cell count, I'm 430, and then the reference range is 4.20 to 5.40, and I'm 4.30, so not a huge red blood cell count.
Yeah, so androgens effects on erythropoiesis in the body, and it's very directly relevant to how in line your hematology profile will be. So your oxygen carrying capacity, your ability to actually literally oxygenate your tissues is going to be largely dictated by androgen action in the male physique. So for him, he's literally clinically deficient in hemoglobin at his current state of androgen deprivation. So not only is he hypogonadal essentially, or at least borderline clinically, even in a Canadian reference range on paper, but this is leading to, as a byproduct, a completely lackluster hematology profile and subpar oxygen carrying capacity to everywhere systemically in his body. So obviously this is problematic and concerning, and obviously, you know, very, very much reinforced the intervening with testosterone replacement therapy intervention, because he has not really had success with any other avenues. And it's not like this is something that he prepared for. Like, this is something that is representative of his everyday life right now. He got a random blood test done after our podcast. It's not like he planned on, changing his lifestyle factors or his diet or anything quite significantly. Like, this is representative of what he's walking around like all the time and trying to function. Now, one of the things that's notable too is his calorie intake is relatively low, especially given the amount of physical activity he does, but that's sort of what he needs to do to maintain the body composition he's happy with. But it just so happens that he's at that unfortunate vicious circle where to get the body composition he wants, he essentially ends up hypogonadal, and then to end up at, a level where he is like functioning somewhat normally, not necessarily optimally whatsoever, and still like what I would presume to be relatively low T. He has to push himself to a level where he isn't essentially happy with his physique, and there's not really a happy medium where he can have high productivity and focus whilst also being like, it's not like he gets 8-7%. Like, even just getting to 10% body fat is pretty taxing on his endocrine system, and as well as his productivity and whatnot. And in this video, Kratom led me to inject the Sazul. How it may have ruined my testosterone explained. He details in pretty elaborate detail about Kratom's implications in terms of what it may or may not do to your endocrine system, the overlap with, like, for example, opioids and how they affect testosterone levels and whatnot. And by the end of it, he kind of, summarizes how it may be worthwhile to explore testosterone replacement therapy. And it's something definitely on his docket to dig into further. And moving forward to the most recent update, Jasmine gives me my first injection of doctor-prescribed testosterone, TRT day 1.
I've got my lovely assistant Jasmine here, who is going to inject it into my booty.
Oh yeah.
Neither of us have ever done this before. Never. Hello to all of you beautiful people watching today's video. I'm making this video to let you guys know that after much deliberation, I have decided that I am going to go through with the testosterone replacement therapy. I'm at least going to give it a try. If you watched my recent video where I talked about how I believe Kratom had something, a little bit or a lot to do with my T levels dropping below, the reference range, well, you would know that, well, just that. According to my blood work, my testosterone was abysmal, and what I forgot to mention in that video is I had actually spoken to 2 different doctors, technically 3 doctors, about my testosterone, and 2 out of the 3 actually prescribed me TRT. So it wasn't like I just jumped on the first recommendation. I also extensively talked with Derek for more plates, more dates. This was something that I decided to do primarily because my mood has been shit for a while. I've been on this roller coaster of emotions for like the past 5 years.
Yeah, so we talked in our podcast, about his, motivation to, get content made, to, be productive, how driven he is, things of this nature. And we really dive deep into the entrepreneurship aspect of psychedelics, and by extension talked about TRT. And, one of the first obvious things was when he came up with the interest of TRT, I was like, we need to get bloods done. We need to see like what you're actually functioning with first to get a baseline representation of your hormone panel. Are you actually low T? Like, what's your gonadotropin output look like? What's everything else look like? Are you a primary candidate for something like this? Would it benefit you? Is it something else? And yeah, the blood work was pretty clear as day, at least from a testosterone aspect. Like, the guy is fucking, average test level of like a 90-year-old, like, it's not looking good. So for him to really dial things in, obviously there are other things you could do, like, getting off the Kratom is on his to-do list, obviously. Significantly increasing his calorie intake could be something that could help. His sleep hygiene is like pretty fucking dialed in from what I could tell, and his diet is, pretty fucking clean. His exercise regimen is on point. So there were things on the docket, but it's like, he has gone through phases of eating more, eating less, being on Kratom, being off of Kratom, stimulants, ADHD drugs. And overall, he talks about how in the past 5 years, he has experienced, this prevailing issue with his mindset, essentially. And, it seemed like a reasonable thing to explore further. And the blood work seems pretty indicative that it may be a worthwhile thing to pursue, like, fully, and actually, start the TRT. So that is what he has decided. I'd love to do a reaction video to his videos, to be honest, but I already know that with my commentary. Like, his first video is 38 minutes, but it's very good. I highly recommend you watch it, especially if you're a Kratom user or a recreational drug user in general. It might be worthwhile to watch. or just for a interesting deep dive into hormones and how they interplay with, you know, his mindset and whatnot, because he's obviously a very successful YouTuber who has been a veteran at this for a while. And you get some pretty significant insight into how the low T has affected his mindset, affected his pursuit of his, you know, being goal oriented and whatnot. And then transitioning into the first TRT injection, you can actually see he's made a pretty significant difference already on his physique. If you look on his Instagram, he has actually been doing this for a little bit now. You know, this is the videotaping of his first injection. It's not the same as him talking. There are different timelines. He's been on it for a few weeks at this point, as far as I know. And this is the real-time physique update here. Some golden era posing right there. Main character, roided substance. Does the wife make you carry the groceries? Holy shit, looking good, man. Derek would be proud. I am indeed, says Derek Schweizer. Not you, crying laughing face. Ayo, Adam, chill, man. My girl is on this up. This transformation is insane. Hot. What's up, guys? This is Derek from More Plates, More Dates. More pilot, more Pilates. All right. So anyways, you know, he gets on the TRT. He's been on it for a little bit now. It's still pretty early on before we get a definitive guide on if this is, you know, dialed in for him. He needs to get follow-up blood work, obviously, and kind of assess how his anecdotal response is too. So his physique has obviously made some pretty notable progression already, and a lot of this is coming down to the 400 to 600 extra calories he's eating too, a lot of the intramuscular water that comes along with adding in exogenous testosterone. But it should be interesting to see what happens, because he has been essentially walking around hormonally deprived for who knows how many years at this point. And we did have a lot of positive feedback from the first podcast, so I thought it was definitely worthwhile to see this through and do a follow-up, especially seeing as he is doing a medical intervention that is literally directly related to the stuff that a lot of people tune into my channel for now. And we can see how it's affected his mindset, you know, his how driven he is, you know, his family life, sex drive, performance in the gym, all that kind of stuff, especially in relation to his, you know, kratom use and whatnot. We can get some insight on that and what kind of overlap it has, and dissect some of his blood work. I'm not going to bring it up on this post specifically, but it will be something we dig into pretty heavily on the podcast, I imagine. And a lot of the stuff that comes out in those podcasts, like, I feel like we have a pretty good we have a good chemistry in that we talk for like 5 hours about a lot of informative, detailed topics that, to be honest, I probably wouldn't even think to tease out and dissect on my channel specifically, as sometimes these topics just come up organically that are very good, that are, you know, subcategories, subtopics within like an overarching theme that I might cover frequently on my channel, but different things that are like more niche, I might not even think of, and they just come up organically in these podcasts. So I think it's really good opportunity for us to bring information to the forefront in a very entertaining and palatable way. So I'm looking forward to a follow-up with that. Hopefully we can coordinate it, and hopefully you guys are looking forward to it too. Obviously check out his stuff. It's PsychSubstance on YouTube, or on Instagram, it's PsychSubstance Official. And we will get some more informative content out there regarding psychedelics on his end. Obviously, he's the expert in that regard. And on my end, I will be, you know, digging into what kind of suggestions I would have to follow up with a medical professional on when it comes to hormone intervention and whatnot, and just general optimization practices for him specifically. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. You know, I'm looking forward to recording it with him. So we shall see how that goes in the near future. So like, subscribe if you want to keep notified and stay on top of that. Follow me on Instagram, @MorePlatesMoreDates, Facebook, Snapchat, BitChute, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, not BitChute. I think I fucking said it, whatever. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic, it's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. I recommended lab tests and diagnostics. Stay on top of your health. Assess if you have any imbalances or deficiencies that may require addressing. And that's regardless if it warrants pharmaceutical intervention with actual, you know, hormone replacement, or if it's just lifestyle, dietary deficiencies, sleep hygiene problems that need to be patched up. that's the kind of shit we are turnkey in that we are not going to just give you a cookie cutter prescription, kick you out the door of test, HCG and Astrazole like all the other clinics. We are actually making our markup on the services and consultations where we set ourselves apart, in that you will not just get haphazardly thrown on drugs if it is not warranted for your situation. And you can actually expect high quality oversight and interpretation of your other biomarkers too, whether it's thyroid, whether it's metabolic parameters, whether it's hematology, all that kind of shit we specialize in. So if that is of interest to you to get high quality doctors that oversee your care, it is in the video description below, as well as Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode, pre-workout formulas, and design myself from scratch. Anything else I'm associated with, it is all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.